Okay, so I have my sketch, I have my idea. Now I need to find some photo references that I can start compositing together. So I'll open up Chrome. I'll go to Google Image Search. I'm actually going to open it in a new window, I think, because I'm going to have a lot here. So first thing, usually any kind of character design, it starts with the head. The head kind of dictates the way we're going to view the creature, the angle of its body. So same thing here. Instead of going for the biggest shape, which might be this belly, I'm going to go right for the anteater, the horned toad, or the horned lizard, the crocodile neck, all that kind of stuff. And I'm going to try not to get too complicated with it. So let's first look at an anteater. And I like going to zoos. The San Antonio Zoo, they have a giant anteater that's really hard to spot. But I did have a personal experience with it once. It was very cool. So they're very memorable animals. Now look, there's tons, right? And there's tons of subcategories. Like I could just look at its mouth. But the problem is I need to make sure that they're large enough to use. So I'm going to go to Search Tools, just like we did for the landscape, go to Size, and go to Larger Than, not 10 megapixels, because we're not doing a full landscape. We're using parts of this into a creature composite. But to be safe, I want it around 8 megapixels, which basically means at least 3,000 pixels in one dimension. And there should still be plenty, because people who photograph animals like to put up high-resolution images of them. And that doesn't always mean, even though there are a lot of pixels, that they're high-quality photos, right? And you want to look at the lighting. The color can absolutely change. You want to look at the amount of focus. But most of all, I'm looking at my sketch, and I'm thinking about what angle do I need. And I can flip it horizontally, right? But I know I need an angle on the head that will fit with this anatomy that I've sketched out. That's very important. I kind of like that I see both ears on that one, but that would require a slight shifting of the head. So we try to be adaptable. Oh, that one's very nice. And we also try to have enough overlap. Oh, look at this little guy. You'll get weird things. I love giant snapping turtles. Ah, awesome. Anyway, like, I don't know why this little baby otter is in there, but look at those feet. Those are great. I might be able to use those for something. Look at the eyes on this guy. And I'm kind of addicted to Google image searching. It's because you get these random things. Like, that is a fantastic texture. I need to figure out what kind of animal that is. I think it's an echidna, maybe, from Australia. All right, we want everything to be very believable. And so now I'm going to look at the actual images and see how large they are. And that looks pretty usable. So I'm going to bring that over into my photo reference folder. That will go into my head file. But I don't want to have all my eggs in one basket. Now this one's great for the top of the head, but you see how the nose is out of focus, unfortunately? So that one's not as usable, even though I like the ears there. But this one looks like it has some good potential. It has the ears, the nose, everything's in sharp focus there. None of this is, but I have enough to overlap with something else. I can fit that into the anatomy of my sketch. Let's look at some of these random things. It's a good thing if they take a while to load. That means they're a really high resolution image. We can go back to them. So where is this guy? Look at those crazy feet. I love them. So those might be my feet. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, then you can close your images and start organizing them. So I'm going to create a subfolder here of the head reference. Put these together because my head is made up of more than just one animal. Right? I don't know why this one isn't loading. I'll just let that load for a while. So what other things do I need for the head? I need a horned lizard, I was thinking. For some of this armor plating. And I really need to see kind of over the top of the head in sharp focus. And it's going to remember that it has to be larger than 8 megapixels, but always check that in your options. Never take resolution for granted. It's a great mural. Very nice. All right, let's see. I love the spikes. I'm not seeing the top of the head so much. I like the eye placement here. Let's see if I angle this one down, that might be useful. So it's not in great focus. So I might need to get more creative about my reference based on what I'm able to find. Oh, that's pretty cool. More subtle. But I don't want to get bogged down too early in lots and lots of different references for just a small part, even though the head is extremely important. And that's a nice kind of eye construction there. Another great advantage of limiting the size is you really don't have to look through nearly as many images. Okay, cool. And I'm really just going for some combinations that I haven't seen before in a creature. Yeah, that's very nice. So when they automatically download when you view the image, you just have to get them from your download folder. That looked good. You still want to check it. So that's a really kind of cool eye, but the rest of it's a little too blurry and out of focus to be usable. So I'm just going to skip that one. That one is also a little too blurry to be useful. So all of that's really cool. Might be able to use that for the neck. So we're required to use at least 5 references, but you'll see we'll probably end up using a lot more without too much difficulty. And then that's what I was hoping for, the top of the head in sharp focus. You can always add more horns. And then I like that eye construction. A rhinoceros iguana, good to know. And that's also a little blurry. So it can be hard to get some of these animals in focus pictures. So it's really valuable when you are able to, and you make the most of those resources. There it is. Really look at the top of the head. It might be somewhat useful. All right, even though it's soft at the edges. All right, now what do? I think of this, I talked about the landscape like a puzzle. I think of this more like a paper doll that we're putting together. But first we have to build the separate components. So it's more like assembling a car. This is the design of it, where everything connects. But I have to develop all the component areas. Just like a team has to build the engine before they can put it in the chassis of the car. So just like we did for the landscape, I'm going to increase my canvas size to about 30 inches by 40 inches. I'm going to do an extension color of gray. And then I'm going to bring on just the head reference bring it in kind of off to the side. And it should all be too big at this point. So you just drag it in, it's a smart layer, you hit return to place it. Bring in the next one. And remember, I set up my sketch already to be the right resolution. So when you do a screen grab of a sketch that you're just scanning in or photographing, you need to make sure that your sketch is at the right dimensions at 350 pixels per inch. And the right dimensions would be somewhere within 13 by 19 inches because that's our full printing size in the lab. I just did that when I set up my sketch. Okay, now I'm going to use my tablet and stylus, use my selection tool, and just really roughly cut out. I know I don't need a lot of this, but I want to get the overlap. And then Command J to duplicate and then turn off the source. And then maybe move it off to the side. I have auto select a layer turned on. And I might shrink it down too. I know I don't need it that big. Now this one, auto select layer is really handy because I can move between these different layers without having to click them in the layer window. Command J, turn off what's underneath. Turn this, maybe shrink it a little bit. I'm assembling just the head parts right now. Rough cutouts. I'll clean it up later once I know what I have. And you see I have two anteater heads to work with based on my other reference for what's going to work better. Because there are differences, slight differences in the angle. This, I really like this eye. I like all that strong, detailed construction around the eye. I also kind of like that tongue. Put that at the end of the anteater. But it is pretty dark. So just like with our landscape composite, we can change the lighting and the coloring of these elements to suit our needs. I could even do a little bit of that right now. I know my character is going to be facing this way. And because they're creatures, I don't need to worry so much about distorting them with transforming tools. I think this head has good possibilities. Just a really nice, clean, three-quarter view. And it's a little bit bigger, a little bit sharper focus than this one. And it gives more room for an eye to really be showcased, whether I use this one or that one. All right, and last, so gosh, how many resources do I have just for the head? 7. So we learned to start working a little bit faster, give ourselves more creative options. Angle that down. Now I really like those horns at the back. So I think we can make something with this. Okay, I'm working a little bit larger than I need. And I'm going to use this head, because that's almost exactly the angle of my sketch, which is helpful. And now I'm going to start building up on top of it. First thing I might do is build up with this eye construction, because I wanted to move the eye to be a little bit more dramatic.